Hello guys, Chris here and welcome to episode 25 of the Pocket Podcast. Today we have an awesome guest. I've just finished recording it as we speak right now in Patrick Murtagh. He has an awesome story, and to be honest, I met this guy when he first rocked up at the Gold Coast Suns Academy when I was training there playing AFL at a high level. He rocked up and I just look up at him and I go, holy dooly, this guy is 6'6", 118 kilos, and he is very athletic to say the least. But he has an awesome story with going from rank to rank, playing in the AFL, getting dropped, now getting drafted in the NFL over in America. And he's got this really inspiring story, doing it all for his family and a much bigger picture than just himself, some money and some fame. You guys will love this show. His dad passed away 3 years ago, and this is a massive driver for why he does a lot of the things that he can do right now to step up to the plate and be that man in the family to help provide. And we talk about all of that, the highs, the lows, the goods, the bads, the uglies, the greats. And it was an awesome conversation, so I can't wait to hear your feedback on this one. So without further ado, let's dive straight into the episode with Patrick Murtagh. We need to take a minute to thank our sponsors of the podcast, Switch Nutrition. More specifically, I want to talk about these two products right here and foundational health. There are so many different supplements online and different people telling you this and that, but it's so important that we strip it right back to what are the foundations that our body actually needs to make sure we're putting our best foot forward every single day. And these two products, I take one first thing in the morning and one directly just before bed. And I sleep like a baby and I feel energized and hydrated when I take this one in the morning. So the Hydrate, I take with a liter of water. It's also got a nootropic in it called coffee berry, which helps me prolong having my coffee throughout the day because it's a nootropic that helps with brain function. So I can get my work done early in the morning without taking any caffeine supplements or coffee. And then the Adrenal is a sleep formula that I have before bed every single night. The chocolate flavor I make kind of like a hot chocolate. And this is amazing. It's well renowned. It's the best thing in the market. They've been around for like 8 years now. Maybe even more. Don't quote me on that one. But I've been taking it for at least 3 years myself. And every single night I love this and I look forward to this. So if you want to try out any of Switch's products, you can actually go to the link in the description down below or the show notes and you go to my collections page on their website. It has these two supplements alongside some of the other ones that I do take, and you can use code Chris Griffin and you'll get 20% off your entire order. Or you can just go to switchnutrition.com.au and use the code Chris Griffin and you'll get 20% off all of your order. Without further ado, you guys enjoy. Patty, before the show, I got you to write down a quote for me. It was something that you love, something that came to mind straight away, and you wrote, "Control the controllables."
Yeah.
Sounds simple. I love it, but talk to me about that quote and what that means to you.
Yeah, you said it. It's pretty simple. Control the controllables. Life's so unexpected, and especially being on the journey I've been and going through things I've been through, it's so important that you just focus on what you can control, because once you start thinking about other things and external things, you start losing track of what you're meant to be doing. And especially now being in the NFL, there's so much pressure going on you and you got to not worry about what everyone else is thinking. Control what you can control, and that's how well you can play and how well you can go about your things. Because as I said, as soon as you start worrying about all this extra pressure and external thoughts of what people are thinking, that then adds to more things you're thinking about in the field, and you can't be thinking about more than what you need to be.
The weight that focusing on things you can't control holds is extremely heavy.
Yeah, it takes its toll for sure.
It's kind of like one of those, it's a massive backpack filled with cement and you're carrying it because everyone just focuses on all these things that are out of their control. They can't change it. They've happened. They're in the past. They're what other people think. And you kind of go, mate, like the more you think about all those things, the less you can actually use your energy on the stuff that actually matters and the stuff you can actually change.
Yeah, 100%. And as I said before, it's so quick. There's so much pressure already on you when you're in that environment as well. And not only just in that, but just your everyday life as well. It just makes it so much easier just to go about your day and just worry about what you need to worry about. Don't drift your thought. Don't get caught up on what other people are thinking.
Yeah, and obviously yours is more of an extreme stance, being in the NFL and all of the stuff that comes with that. And we're going to dive into so much of that and all the part of the iceberg that's below the water that no one really sees about being in the NFL. But we're going to take it back a little bit so that the people listening can get a bit of an understanding on who sits in front of me and talk about, your upbringing. And I really want to go back to you as a kid and how you were, as a child, and let's go from there.
Yeah, so I was always a sporty kid. I love being outside, being active, getting involved. I never said no to anything. And so throughout school, and I always got involved in sport. I always wanted to be myself no matter where I was.
Where were you living?
So I spent a few years in Fiji really early on, and then brought up here in the Gold Coast my whole life. So it's been a nice little upbringing for me and my family. But yeah, I always love just being myself wherever I can, and if people are going to like me for it, they're going to like me for it. If they're not, they're not, and I'm not too fussed about that. And I think that's helped me so much throughout my childhood, of all the sports I've played, all the people I've met, just being raw and being who I am. Dabbled in a lot of sports. When I finished school, I took over to athletics. So I did athletics state champ for 2 years and then went to nationals. And then my second time going to nationals, I had to make that decision of, all right, do I need to keep pursuing this and try attack the comm games and whatever comes forward, or do I change my whole path and pick up a new sport I've never played, which is AFL at the time? And it was a conversation I had to have with my family, and it was a opportunity, and these opportunities don't come around often. So we thought, all right, let's take it on. Went down, did the academy. It all went really well, and long story short, that same year we ended up getting picked up as a rookie to the Suns. So I spent 3 years on the roster there, and coming into the end of my third year, I got released at the end of the year. And same story happened as well, where this international pathway program of the NFL started to arise, and it's always been a dream of mine as a kid. All my mates knew how much I loved the sport, how much I wanted to play it, but there was never a pathway here in Australia. So seeing that come up at another conversation with my mum and my dad about, all right, what am I going to do? Am I going to take this journey and keep playing AFL and staying content where I am, or am I going to take this risk and move my whole life overseas and play this sport I've never played in my life? And we took that chance because one door closed and another one opens, and looking back at it, I don't regret it at all.
For sure. And I remember when we met, and you first rocked up to the Suns Academy, and I was playing there, and I remember you rocking up, and I'm just going, this guy is a specimen. I was looking at you going, dude, I didn't even know people like you existed. You were like, I remember just looking, going, like, you're like 6'7". How tall are you?
6'6" now.
You're 6'6" and 118 kilos or whatever you said.
Yep.
And I just remember looking at this guy, I'm like, you've never played footy in your life, but your genetics and the way you look, I just go, okay, makes sense, makes a lot of sense. And I think what's awesome about that is if you love the sports and you're blessed with the genetics that you have, that they're going to see that, and that's how you get on these development deals and stuff, because they go, fuck, you can't train looks. You can't train genetics like that. You've got that. We can train skills. And I remember when you rocked up at the Suns, I just went, holy shit. And then next minute you're drafted and you're playing footy.
Happened so quickly.
It happens so quickly. But talk to me before the Suns though. You're a decathlete?
Yeah, that's right.
You did everything.
Yeah, funny. I just love doing sport, and I thought, well, why not merge all the events together and do a decathlon? So 10 events in 2 days. That was pretty cool. So we got 100 meters, long jump, high jump, shot put, discus, javelin, 400, 110 hurdles, 1500, and pole vault.
So you basically have to be a jack of all trades.
Yeah, it's a gift in a way, because you go out, people go out on the track and they go out there for one event. We get to step foot on the field 10 times in 2 days, so it's pretty awesome. Yeah,
and so you were taking that pretty seriously. What made you want to change to something like AFL? Was it more money-wise? You're like, there's not much money, or what was the reason you swapped over to sport?
Yeah,
you obviously got scouted too.
Yeah, money and opportunity. With these athletics, you're paying to go to these events. You're paying a lot of things out of your own pocket, and I mean, once you get there big time, I'm not sure. I never got right there to that top level, so I don't know what the money was like. But I just knew, in comparison to what AFL was, there's a better opportunity there for me to attack that and help provide for my family as well. And I'm a big family person, and they mean everything to me. Like, that's my rock, that's my soul, everything. It's my why. And I knew that if I could get into this gig, I'm playing sport that I love. Like, that's what I've always wanted to do, is to play sport professionally and get paid for it. So that ticks one box. But then also to have good coin come in the pocket to help look after, like, my mum, my sister, my dad at the time. It was everything for me.
Mm. You keep going back to, like, we were doing this. I had to go and ask mum and get her thoughts on this, and we decided to make this decision and stuff. It's like you're referring to a we when you're playing these sports, when it's like you're the main character in a sense. Like, what's in terms of your connection with family, you keep saying how big this is. Like, what makes you, like, obviously include everything and go, okay, we need to do this, we're doing this, when it's actually you doing it, but you're supporting them? You keep referring to it as a we.
Yeah, I've even now at the NFL, I say I say we, but I know deep down they've all helped me. Not only just my family, but everyone else around me in the network, my friends, family. They've all helped me with every part of getting to the NFL. But there's also like an aspect of myself that had to get there. But I don't like saying I made it because it sounds selfish. But at the same time, like, I put in a lot of work to get there. And I don't know, just walking around and saying, yeah, I'm in the NFL or I made it. I don't want to sound like I'm cocky or boosting my ego. And I don't know if it's just how it is nowadays. But for me as a person who I am, I love saying, like, we, like my mum, my sister, as I said all the time, and my friends and and my network around me. It's awesome to share that journey with them. And that's why I like to take so many photos of where I'm in America and bring them back and put them in my story to show everyone back home, because this is an opportunity that not many people get to live by, and so it's important to enjoy every moment while you're in there and try prolong and create a legacy, as I like to say.
It's so cool how grounding that is and how humble that is for someone, especially for someone from, Australia going over to playing the NFL, and you're with these people making hundreds of millions of dollars, you're getting treated like a king, you're that man, that guy, and then you can still stay grounded and go, yeah, like, we're doing this. I'm doing this it's much more than just me. I'm not trying to just do it for the clout, and it's quite powerful. But I want to unpack this time in the Suns, because I'm going back to when we knew each other, and you got drafted to the Suns, and then you got dropped from the Suns.
Yep.
Like, talk to me about that moment when you got dropped and how you were feeling and what was going on then.
Yeah, it is tough. It is tough to take it all in and realize, all right, I'm now unemployed. I've got, 22 at the time? 22, no job, living at home. I need to get my life on track. I need to figure out what to do with myself. And I think there's a lot of questions I had to ask myself, and a lot of answers I didn't have for myself, and that was the toughest thing at the time. And I think I got really, really lucky, and we spoke about this when we had the sauna. It's just the timing of everything and the opportunity that I had. That we got to the semi-finals in the VFL. We unfortunately didn't make it through, but that worked out perfectly because of the 2-week period where I can get ready and go to America and try it out for the NFL, and the timing of everything, because it's only once a year. And yeah, things happen for a reason, and I can't really express how grateful and thankful I am for whoever put this on my path and on my plate. But I think that helped so much with me unpacking the fact that I no longer had a job, and I was playing the highest level of sport in Australia, to now being unemployed at 22. So it was a really quick turnaround in the 2 weeks, and I think at that point we had to really make a decision of what we wanted to do and what was best for me moving forward, and that was taking this risk.
So you had, because when I look at that, it's happened so quick. So when you were leaving the Suns, you already had this opportunity with the NFL.
We heard about the opportunity, but obviously being signed to the team, that was my main priority no matter what, till the end of the day. And once I did get released, that's when we started to resurface this idea and thought of, all right, let's give it a go, and that's what we did. Talk to
me about that international combine and how that works.
Yeah, so it's the NFL IPP. It's run by the NFL. And what it does, it sends scouts all throughout the world, picking up athletes with good genetics and like the right builds, and giving them an opportunity that they may never thought they would have had to get into the NFL. So from different sports codes. And what they do is they scout them in their own countries, fly them to London at the time. This is where I was. We went there, did a combine for about 60 people from around the world. 60 men, I reckon, from around the world. They were big boys over there. And from there, we do a full NFL combine, and then they select 13 players to go to Florida, and that's where we do a 10-week camp. And from there, that's where we learn the game, from the basics of how long is the field, how many downs are there in a football game, or how many downs do you get, all these little basic things. And to the end of it, up to 10 weeks, knowing the whole game, being able to perform in a pro day in front of 32 scouts, and hopefully get on a roster 10 weeks or 2 weeks later. So it happens so quickly. And then after that, that's when the Jags picked you up. Yeah, so I was actually on it for 2 years. My first year I went on there, and I went through, and at this stage it was the last point of allocations. So the that runs the IPP allocates us to what NFL team is best suited. So if they're looking for a tight end, all right, well, we've got a tight end, he's 6'6", he's 118 kilos, he's this is what he brings to the plate. And then the team goes back and forth, communicating, all right, we like this guy, we're going to sign him. So that year we had 13 on the IPP, only 8 got allocated, and I was lucky enough to be one of those, and I got allocated to the Detroit Lions. So that was the best thing I could ever hear at the time, knowing that I just got released from AFL at home to less than 4 months later being signed to an NFL team. But unfortunately, just due to medical reasons, and within 3 days I was on a flight back home from Detroit to Gold Coast, and that's when I had to start asking a few questions of, again, what am I going to do? Am I going to do this again? Am I going to settle down? And I needed to ask myself so many questions, and at the time I didn't really know.
And when you got picked up by that team, there's a video on your Instagram of you telling your mum and your sister that you were you're going to the NFL. Yeah. And you just see this priceless reaction from them, and how excited they are, and how excited you guys all are in a room, and you're just ecstatic that you're going to the NFL. You just said that, so you went to the NFL after that moment, and then quickly after that you got injured, or you... It
was an injury I was carrying over, which we didn't realise the extremity of it, or if that's the word you use for it. But yeah, we didn't realise how severe it actually was until I got there. And obviously NFL is one of the highest paying sports. It's one of the hardest sports to get into. So everything they do is they go right down to the details. Even my ankle injury, I don't know if you remember my last academy game, did my ankle, tore some ligaments, and I was in a member. I had to write that down on my medical sheet, and they x-rayed that, examined that. So they go into the full depth of it just to make sure that you're 100%.
Right. So then you got over there and literally got over there. You're doing all these examines and all these tests, and then they go, okay, this is not good. This is not it. So then they just put you back on a plane?
Yeah. So I flew over there a few days early just to adjust to jet lag and everything. And then report day, we come in, all the rookies, all the new people, we come in, go through the whole medical process. And then we go through, do what you need to do. And as I was saying before, you write down a list of injuries you've had, and they saw my hip. I wrote that down. So they x-rayed it. And as they x-rayed it, we were just continuing with our medical exams, and they gave me a buzz, and they came into the room and said, hey, we need to follow up with this hip injury of yours. And then from there, they sent me home because I didn't get to finish my medical. They said, we're going to get you an ultrasound and an MRI tomorrow. And because I hadn't signed, I'm not technically meant to be there in the facility. So that everyone else went through, they did their meetings, they carried on with their day, and I was in my room just sitting there waiting till tomorrow. And then tomorrow came, went into the facility, within 5 minutes, turned around, went to the hospital, got all my x-rays and examines done, went back to the facility, and I was just sitting in the medical room waiting. And they said, hey, we're going to send you back home because, again, we're not meant to be here because you haven't signed yet. So I said, that's all right.
Why were you there then if you hadn't signed?
You got to do your medical. You got to do your medicals first. So once you pass your medicals, sweet, there's your contract, sign it. So that's the thing we're just waiting for, and I was just waiting to get through all this stuff, and I didn't think anything of it. And at the time, I'm just happy to be here. I'm in the other side of the world. I'm in the NFL. This is awesome. So I went home. I was just talking to my mum, my friends about what it's like walking around and everything. And then I get a phone call that afternoon saying, hey, this is the doctor. You've got this, and this. These are, and then your scout and the GM will give you a call in a few minutes. It's like, sweet, appreciate you. Thanks, Doc. I think a couple of minutes went by and get a phone call. G'day, how you doing? This is the GM, this is the head scout. Unfortunately, we're not going to follow through with this contract and sign you because of what you presented of your hip and your medicals. And at the time, I didn't really think about what that meant to me. I was just still in this euphoric state about, oh my God, this is so cool. So I said to them, all right, no, it's okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Hung up the phone, and then I think a couple of minutes later, the team back home from Australia called me and said, hey mate, we just got told the news is pretty shit, but we've booked your flight tomorrow at 10 a.m. to come back home to Australia or whatever time it was. And that's the point where everything just slowed down, and I didn't really feel anything, didn't really hear any noise, and trying to ask the question, like, is this true? Like, am I actually going home? I thought I was allocated and I'm meant to be here for a year. And I was just pacing up and down my room trying to figure out what was going on. And is this happening? My suitcase is still not unpacked. I've taken 2 clothes out of my suitcase. And yeah, the tickets came through of my flight back home, Detroit to Gold Coast. And then I gave Mum a FaceTime a couple hours later saying, hey, do you mind picking me up from the Gold Coast airport? She's like, why? I said, I can't get signed. And then touching back onto what you're saying with the the video, that was probably I think the proudest moment I've ever been, seeing my mum and my sister being so happy, knowing that we can get our life back on track because Dad's not around anymore. And yeah, that hurt. Knowing that we could finally get our life back on track and just have it all turned around in 3 days. And then that puts me back in a hole back in Australia. Like, all right, what do I do now? Where do I go from here? So
then you're sitting in your room, you just got back from America and you're in Australia and you've got this injury and you're like, fuck, what do I do? And like, what were you thinking in that moment?
I was lucky enough, it was a long flight back to Australia. And in that time, I just thought, all right, well, what's my possibilities? What can I do? Can I go in this program again? And I just thought, well, I can still gym. I can still do uppers. I can still go for walks. I'm healthy. I went through the whole camp with this injury, so I'm fine. Like I know I'm healthy. So I came back, and obviously jet lag hits of long flights. I woke up at 3 a.m. and I said, stuff it, I'm going to gym. I went to gym at 3:30 in the morning, finished at 5, went for a walk and a coffee in the morning, trying to get out and get moving and trying to set this routine and try and get myself going, because I knew if I came home and I didn't do any of that, I could fall down a spiral, and it's so hard to get out of a spiral because I've been there before. So I knew how important a routine is and getting into it early and building that, and it helped so much with how I was and helped my mindset as well moving forward.
Mm. And when you called your mum and asked her to pick you up from the airport, like, how did she deal with it? Was she supportive? Like, how did that go?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of questions to be asked, and she was asking a lot of questions, and she knew as well that I really wasn't up for talking about it. But I just said, my hip, I got to come home, and when I land, I'll tell you more about it. But I'm not going to be in the NFL. I got to come home, and I remember it so vividly walking through the Gold Coast airport, opening the doors, and Mum was just standing there, and you could just see the look on her face and look at mine, and I don't think I've ever cried so hard in my life when I hugged her in the middle of the airport. And I think on the way home we had a good chat about what had happened and what to do. But I think at that state, the first week was just shock. We just didn't really know what to do or how to deal with it. We just knew we had each other, and we just moved forward from there.
Did you have any confidence, or was there, when you were hugging her or you were driving back home, was there anything that you said that you remember you said, like saying, I'm going to be back there, or was there any thoughts like that, or were you a little bit clouded and a bit lost?
I said to her, I've made it once, I can make it again. And I've held by that whole recovery process, that whole year was my whole mindset going, if I can make the program once while having this injury without playing the sport ever, I can do it again. And I know it's going to be so much more work. It's going to be 5 times as hard doing it again. But I just had to keep telling myself, you're good enough to be there. They saw potential. Other teams saw potential in you. Like, this is the NFL. They see you as an NFL player. So when you come back home, keep telling yourself that. Keep reassuring yourself that you're good enough and you can make it again.
And what happened after that? Did you get surgery done?
Yeah, so there's a long process there.
Did they pay for all the surgery and stuff?
No, that was all me. If I signed, I would have. But if I signed, then they would have covered it. But I never signed, so everything was on my own moving forward. And been a bit tough coming out of not having a job and doing all that stuff. But I was lucky enough. I'd messaged my old boss at Sushi. I jumped in there, had a few shifts with him for a bit, which was good. Back to my old roots. It was my first ever job I had. It was the biggest sushi chef you've ever seen. I was at 618 kilos making sushi rolls. But it's good. I love that sort of stuff. I love helping out people who have helped me out. And yeah, as I said, we went back. I got surgery. I had to pay for everything myself. Mum helped me out so much with that, and really grateful for her. She's a single mother now, supporting my sister and I, and for her to be supporting at me at this time, 23-year-old. I mean, it's not ideal. It's not what you want to be having, and it's not nice to be saying, hey, I live at home and Mum's helping me getting through. But I know that what I'm working towards is going to pay off in the long run, and I'm really excited for it. And as you were saying about the surgery, I had to pay for that in September. September 12th was when I had my surgery, and I was on a plane in January to go to the international program again. It was a really quick turnaround. I lived in the physio room. I lived in the recovery centre. I lived out in the gym. That's all my life was. And I put my head down for the whole year, and I worked hard to get back to where I was. And that goes back to what you're saying. Like, we made it. And that, when I say we, that whole process of, all right, I'm thankful for the team that helped me, the physios, all that physio team that helped me, the gym for giving me opportunity to train there, recovery centre, the people that helped me mentally, physically, whatever it was, they all helped me. But then touch on the fact that I made it. I had to get up every morning and do this work. I had to keep telling myself, all right, you're good enough. I had to tell myself, I'm going to get back to the NFL, and I had to put in the work. And I don't want to walk around saying that, because it's like, you don't want to walk around with a big ego or anything. But
it's what you got to tell yourself, though, because it's lonely.
It's so lonely.
And it's
it
like,
so
no
lonely.
one's picking you up. Like, get the fuck back up.
Mm.
And you've got to tell yourself. And so I understand what you're saying. There's this polarity between what you actually say to people and how you act outside, but then also the conversations that you have with yourself. It is a bit selfish.
Yeah.
When I look at all the lonely times, I go like, mate, it's just me. It's only me. No one actually cares. Like, everyone's trying their best, but the reality is, if I don't try my best, we're not going anywhere. And it's a lonely journey. Would you agree? Like, that self-talk's so important?
100%. And you touched on it literally before we started the podcast. You say to someone, walk a mile in our shoes, understand how tough it actually is to do it, because people can tell you one thing and say, hey, I'm here for you to do this, I'm here for you, blah, blah, blah. But it's up to you to actually be proactive and do it. And it is so lonely when you're doing it.
And the other thing with that too is, a lot of the time they're always here for you when you don't need it.
Mm.
Like, when you really need it and you're down bad, you're not getting all the messages supporting you of how well you're going.
It's funny how many messages you get when you get there.
Yeah.
Everyone's there when you make it. But that's why I'm so grateful for the circle I have and the connections I've made, because in those tough times they were there. And honestly, I don't know. I know I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for those guys and those people around me, because they were there. They were the ones that were helping me get out of bed and get there. My sister would wake me up and take me to uni to get me outside at times, because there was days where I don't want to train. I don't want to do this. Like, I'm done. She would come into my room after training in the morning, wake me up and said, you're coming to uni with me. You're sitting through the classes with me, just to get out of the house and get moving again.
Why wouldn't you want to get up, and why wouldn't you want to do it?
It was just, you get days, you fluctuate with emotions, and the lowest of lows are so low at times. And I think it was a conversation I had to have with myself, a real conversation, and that was a turning point for me massively. Is, all right, am I happy with how I've dealt with things in the past? Am I happy with where I am and who I am as a person now? And I'm a guy who walks around with a smile on my face. I don't like showing my emotions, because you don't know what everyone else is going through. And if I smile, it could bring someone else along with me, and it makes their day. And I love doing that. But at times I kept pushing aside my own problems and what I'd been through and everything. And I think once there was a mid-period last year, where it just all hit me and it all came up. It was just filling up a glass of water, and it overfilled. And yeah, that was a tough time, and it was a realization, and I had to have a real conversation with myself to get myself back up and going. And
the conversation you have with yourself, is it more so like, why am I doing this sort of thing, and getting clear on that, or what was the conversation? It
was more so, are you who you say you are? Like, you walk around, you say you're this person, you do this for bits and pieces, but are you actually living your actions and living your words? Actions speak so much louder than words, and that was a really big thing I had to ask myself. And to be honest, I wasn't. And so I had to make a change.
We all go through those moments, that's for sure. I want to go back to just before, when you were saying how when you were coming back, and you're a little bit lost, and you're coming back from just getting in America for like a week, and then you've got to come back, and you're saying you're just making sure that you're not spiraling down. And then what you said after that is, I've been there before, and I know how hard it is to get out of a spiral. Like, when was the moment when you spiraled down before that?
It was in March is when I lost my dad. That's when it started to spiral. It was right before the season started for AFL, and that was tough. He was battling cancer for months, and he had it before as well, a couple of years ago. But Yeah, that really rocked me. I remember I was having a conversation with someone, and they were saying that they lost their father when they were 5 years old, and I lost mine when I was 21. And we were talking about the differences we had. About they were saying that they didn't really have a close connection, had those memories, and they're a bit saddened that he had to teach himself how to shave and all this other stuff. Whereas for me, I have all these memories, and he's passed away right before everything's starting to shift for the whole family. Like my sister was in year 12, so he wasn't there for the graduation. I just had my 21st birthday, and then I just made the NFL, and all these big milestones, which I knew he'd be so happy and proud of. That was a tough one to deal with. He was everything to me. He wouldn't miss a game. If it was we were playing C grade or third grade, whatever sport it was, in Brisbane an hour away, he would come up there and watch me. Like, he took time out of his work to come and support me no matter what. And I think a young kid at the time, I didn't understand why. I'm like, why are you coming here to watch me play third grade with my mates? I'm just here to take the piss, really. Why are you out here kicking the ball with me? He had bung knees and a bung back. He couldn't run. But he was out there doing it with me. And at the time, I didn't really think about how much it meant to him to spend that quality time with me. And that's the thing that eats me up so much to this day, is that I took for granted how important those times were. I remember he'd come home from work one day and I'd sit in my bed and I'd be playing on the Xbox. He'd walk in, hey mate, how you doing? You have a good day? I'm like, yeah, good. And just stand there for a bit silent, and then he'd walk to his room and go downstairs. And it's like, shit, let's put the game down. It's not hard to put that away for 5-10 minutes, have a conversation. Like, he was there for me, and even just little things. On Saturday, he's going to go out and get coffee. He had a routine: wake up, get a coffee in Southport. He would then go to the news agency in Chevron, and then he'd come home, get a newspaper at Chevron. Hey, you want to come with me? No, I'm all good. I'll just stay at home. And then I remembered one time I said, yep, I'll come with you. And his reaction was priceless. It was everything. And I started to realise, all right, how much these little things mean to him. And honestly, it sucks, man. It sucks so much that I've realised this afterwards. I mean, I want to go back and wind the clock back and do it all over again, but I hate it. I honestly hate it, and it eats me up. And that's one of the things that will sit with me for so long, is that he gave everything for me, but did I give everything back to him? And it goes back to the conversation that I had to have with myself. Am I who I say I am? Because I kept saying and being around him and having all this fun time and everything, but I wasn't realising how much it actually meant. And when he passed, it made so much. It all came to me. It all settled in. Nothing was the same. I got to kick the ball. He's not here. No one's here. And I made the NFL. I had a great day at training. I want to call someone. He's not there, and it just sucks. That's the easiest way to put it. And it put me in a massive spiral. And I know we're trying to get our life back on track, but I just kept drinking and I was gambling, and I just would live outside of home. I just wouldn't do anything because I was in a hole. I couldn't get out of it, and I was struggling so bad. And I was so lucky I had those mates around me to get me out of it, and they all saw it as well. And at the time as well, I was saying, yeah, I'll come out and I'll train. I'll be there. But I wouldn't. Wake up, I'd go to the tavern. I'd stay there all day. I'd go drive, do whatever I needed to do. I just was empty. There was no meaning to what I had in life. At the time, I was still a contracted AFL player, but I had no meaning really. And then it all just I had to make it change, because Mum was showing up to work still, and she was getting on with her life, and she's the strongest woman I've ever met, strongest person I've ever met, and I had to realise, if she can do it, I can do it. So she led from example from day dot, and I just had to turn the page and go, all right, he's still here. He will want me to keep training. So rocked up the training, and we get going, and I think doing so, I needed to see someone and talk about it more than what I did, because I kept pushing it aside, saying, I'm okay, I'm fine, I'm strong, I need to look after my family, I need to be here and train. But yeah, it all came around and bite me in the ass, really.
What made that switch when you had that realisation of, I need to keep doing this, Mum's showing up, why aren't I? What made you want to switch and start focusing back on this sport?
There's no man in the house. I need to step up. I can't be having to look after my mum and my sister while doing this. I need to provide for them I need to be that husband figure. I need to be that older brother figure. I need to be there. I need to set the example, set the tone. And Mum did a great job of doing that. And it was huge shoes to fill. And I'll never fully fill them, but I'm living up to it as best as I can. Right now, sitting here, I can say I'm doing it pretty well.
And what does the dog tag on your neck say?
The dog tag, it says, whatever it takes, I love you. And it's in the handwriting of my dad. So he wrote me a note, and it's pasted on my mirror at home. It goes with me everywhere. So in my locker in America, there's a photo of Dad and I at Christmas and the note. And on the note, it said, whatever it takes, I love you. And funny enough, I found this note after he passed away, and it goes with me everywhere. And now I can wear it on my neck and know that he's always with me.
Mm. And when your dad unfortunately passed away, you made a post on Instagram. It was this photo, and the caption warms my heart, and I really want to read it if that's okay with you. Mm-hmm. Because there's a lot to unpack here, and it's really awesome. So, Dad, you are the strongest person I've ever met. To say I'm grateful and blessed to have you as my father is way beyond an understatement. It's such a numb feeling knowing that my idol, mentor, and father has adventured into another life. I know you will continue to put other people first and give up absolutely everything to make them the best human being possible. I know you will, because you gave me everything in your power. Even when you had given me your all, you'd still find something to sacrifice to make me who I am today. And today I hope you look down at me, proud of the son you've raised. The simplest of things, such as taking your hat off when you walk inside, to standing up to greet someone, and most importantly, enjoying the little moments, appreciating life as it is. The little 1%ers you taught me as a kid defined who I am today. And today, and further into the future, I'll do everything I can to continue to make you proud with everything I do. Mum, Kanina, is it Kanina? Kanina, and I know you'll walk by our sides every day until we meet again. I love you with all my heart, Dad. Fly high. And, fuck, man. Like, I read that and I just look at it and go, you can tell the feelings you have for him. And as you were explaining just before, how you don't appreciate something till it's truly gone. And then when you reflect on it, you realize the importance of it. Mm. And I read that and I look at all the things that you've learnt from him, and you write down that stuff. And we were out for dinner the other night, and you stand up whenever someone rocks up there, and you stand up and you shake their hand or you give them a hug, and you're always standing to greet. You didn't wear your hat inside. Like, the things that you're saying about him, you're learning from him and you're actually doing them. So then when he's looking down at you, you can confidently say he's going to be proud of me for doing these things.
Yeah, it's carrying on his legacy, and I'm hopefully you can carry that on through generations. And I think it's just what separates him from so many other people. It's just how he goes about things and how he is as a person. And you ask any one of my friends or his friends, and they all speak so highly of him, of just who he was and how he went about things. But yeah, no, it's traits I want to carry through, and to me now, it's just the simple things. It's just common sense for me now, where, as you said, I stand up to greet someone and shake their hand. I don't wear hats inside. It's when I'm having dinner. It's these little things that add up. It
also just gives you fuel,
yeah,
like the motivation that comes with that. Is it quite strong?
Yeah. I mean, I can't really put to words how much it means, like how much he means to me and how much this all means to me, and the motivation, the drive behind it. Obviously, everyone has their own stories and their own pathways, and now in the NFL, there's a lot of different stories people have to tell, and it's honestly truly amazing hearing about people's upbringings and coming from the hood that had nothing as well. Like, everyone is so unique, and it's what makes you who you are today, and like, your story is so different to mine, and you're so successful from the stories and the lessons you've learned going through, and I'm so successful from the stories and lessons I've learned as well. It's just what makes us who we are today.
Yeah, I love that. And I also love the fact that all of our stories are unique, but that's what makes them so special.
100%.
Like, no story is the same. and we all have our own little unique thing, but it's up to us to be able to use that as power to make us achieve greatness.
And it's so important too to understand that we're all different, and it's okay to be different. It's okay that you're not doing what someone else is doing. It's okay that you're not doing this. Like, everyone's in their own lane. You've all got your own things that you're working towards, and we're all different. We're all beautiful in our own manner, and it's amazing. And I never judge anyone off their first appearance. And I always say this to my friends. If someone asks, like, what do you think about this person or this, I say to them, I've met them once or I haven't met them, so I'm not going to have a say on it until I fully meet them and have a conversation with them, because you never know what someone's been through. Because a week ago, someone could be living on the streets. The next, they're out here working a job. And I mean, you can't judge someone based off their looks or who they are. You know, you don't judge a book by its cover. I live by that. I really don't like judging people.
It's a natural instinct for people. We are judging beings. Like, we judge people straight away.
Yeah.
It's really cool to be able to catch yourself though when it is negative and you're judging someone based on the cover before reading it, and being able to come at that with an open mind. But again, we are humans and we can't get hard on ourselves for doing it, because it is our natural thing.
100%.
And that's why first impressions are so important, because people are going to judge you no matter what. So you may as well try and make it a good judgment.
100%. And that's why you stand up to shake someone's hand.
That's why you stand up to shake someone's hand. That's why you train in the gym and be proud of who you look at in the mirror. Like, that's why we're striving for these things. That's why we try and level up, and we strive in our careers, and we try and level up in all these different areas of our life, so that then we can be respected with ourselves in the mirror, but then also that mirrors off to everyone else that we're with too.
And it's so funny you say that about looking yourself in the mirror at the gym. I have so many people come up to me and go, man, I wish I looked like you, or I was your size and whatnot. I go to the gym and there's guys that are bigger than me. There's guys that can do a lot more different things that I wish I could do or wish I looked like. But that's not my life, and that's not where I'm heading. I'm not here to be a bodybuilder. I'm not here to bench press 400 kilos or however heavy it is these bodybuilders are benching. I respect it. Like, good on you. You've worked so hard to do that. I commend you for that. But I'm not going to train like you. There's guys out here doing handstand push-ups and all this calisthenics stuff. Like, that is so incredible. Like, that is so amazing. But I'm not here to train like you. You got to go and attack things that's best suited for who you are. I go to the gym and I train differently because that's just what I have to do for who I am. And I say that to my friends and people around me as well. I say, don't compare yourself to me, because what I'm doing is so different to what you're doing. There's things that you do that I can't do. And in America as well, different positions have different body types, different speeds and everything. Damn, I wish I was your size, but I can't be his size because of the position I am. It's just, you got to realize what you're doing, who you are, and do you really need to be comparing yourself to anyone? Because comparison,
stay in your own lane.
Yeah, comparison is the thief of joy, and it will eat you up.
Yeah. And coming back to that quote, control the controllables.
Mm-hmm.
You can't control the height you are.
No.
And you can't change that. You can put some heels on,
Yeah.
but that's not going to change your ability in the gym.
No.
You weigh that much, you are that tall, you can control your weight, but you can't control your height. And focusing on the controllables is so important there. But also, there's levels to everything that we do. And we need to recognize that, of course, you are still going to look at yourself in the mirror sometimes and think you're small.
Yeah, 100%. Every day.
When, like no one in their right mind will ever look at you and think that you're small. So our biggest enemy is ourself, is our mind. Right, like the mind games that our mind plays
ridiculous.
Are the most ridiculous things, and we can't really, there's no other bigger enemy, and like the person we need to spend the most amount of time listening to is ourself. Yet we disrespect ourselves more than everyone else.
You gotta love yourself. Like
that whole thing around, if you treated your friends the way you treat yourself, would you hang out with your friends? Would your friends hang out with you? Sorry.
It's a big one.
If you treated your friends the way that you treat yourself, would they hang out with you? And they probably wouldn't, because you're an absolute dick to yourself. My biggest battles are myself, in my mind, when I'm sitting alone and I'm in these thoughts. and I'm in my head about I'm not doing good enough when everyone else thinks I'm doing amazing. Like, why do we do this? I don't know, but it's just something that we have to deal with when we're trying to achieve such greatness.
100%. And we pride ourselves on that when we're over in America as well. We're just anywhere. You treat your janitor the way you treat your owner. I mean, you shouldn't be treating anyone differently because of their title, who they are, what they do. You don't treat anyone differently.
And that shows a lot about your character as well. And this is an interesting test for when you're going into business with someone. Like, how do they treat the waiter?
Yeah, 100%.
How do they treat the barista when they're ordering the coffee?
Yeah.
How do they treat your friends? Do they know your partner's name? Do they know your mum's name if you've introduced them before? Because you know that means a lot to you.
Speaking of that, the biggest thing is, for my mum, you take your shoes off when you walk in the house. I always note, if it's a guy, a girl, whoever, do they take their shoes off? Do they ask to take their shoes off? When they meet my mum for the first time, do they just say hi? Do they hug her? All these little things. As you said, we go back to we're looking at someone and how they go about things. It's just the little things, these little 1%ers that you don't realise you're doing, but someone else is noticing as well, and it comes into play. And if you were saying about business partners and everything, how you treat your waiter and your barista, all these little things, and I take note of.
Yeah, and those little 1%, they're the cherries on top, but they make all the difference.
100%.
They make all the difference, because everyone else will settle for good and okay, which is all of the normal things. But those little extra things like, oh, do you want me to take my shoes off?
It's a
Just
big one.
that one sentence.
Yeah.
Or, hey, how are you going? Like, how's your day been, to the barista, instead of just saying, hey, can I get a flat white?
It's free to be nice. It's free to smile. It's free to be nice.
What I'm also learning as well, and it's a very common thing, but I'm keep being reminded of it, is you do not know what someone's going through. And you do not, all they need sometimes is one person to just say that they're doing a good job, and that can make their whole day.
100%.
And so being able to do that and genuinely mean it to someone is so powerful, because they could be having a shit day. Nothing's going right for them. But then they just have one random person they've never met say, hey, I hope you're having an amazing day. The sun's shining, and you're smiling even more than that. Whatever it is. Yeah. Like, that can literally make their day, and it's free.
And we were talking about this the other day as well, about being impactful. Like, you do things and you don't realise how it may impact someone else's life. And you told me a story about it, and it's honestly remarkable. And honestly, just greeting someone or just smiling, walking past someone and smiling. You don't know if they're going outside to walk just to clear their head because they're going through it, and they see someone walk past and smile or just say good morning. That's all they need. You never know what someone's going through, and I really vouch that. Yeah.
I want to talk about the NFL, and I want to talk about more specifically, to start off, what you didn't expect and what you didn't know you were getting yourself into. And then you get there, because we'll skip forward a little bit, but basically what happened was, obviously you came back, you rehabbed, you went to the trials again, and then you got picked up again. Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Then how quickly from then did you go straight in? Did you move? How quickly was it?
Yeah, so we did that, finished a 10-week camp, came home for not even 2 weeks and got told I've got workouts with 3 teams. So I flew over to America. I was living out of my suitcase pretty much at this point because I didn't unpack when I came home. Went over to America, landed in Florida, in Tampa Bay, stayed there for 24 hours, went to Cincinnati, was there for 24 hours, Denver 24 hours, Jacksonville 24 hours, back home to Tampa for 24 hours. Made my decision of where I wanted to go, which was the Jaguars. So we called up, we said, sweet, we'll have a car ready for you in 3 days or something like that. Packed my stuff. I was in the car up to Jacksonville, and within 3 days I was starting. My name was on the wall, had my kit ready to go, and we're on the field. And it all happened so quickly. 2 weeks ago, I was having dinner with my mum, living at home with no job, and now my name's on a locker with big names like Trevor Lawrence, and all those guys were right next to me. It's crazy how it all changed.
When you said you picked your team, how did that work? Because you went into all these, did you have options?
Yeah, so how I was saying before about the allocation process, that was the last year of it. This year moving forward, every team in the NFL has an international spot which they can use. They don't have to use it, but they can use it. And I was a free agent. Some boys were draft eligible. One boy got drafted, which was amazing, to the Bills. I was a free agent, and a few of us got picked up as free agents, which means if we have multiple teams want us, we could choose where we wanted to go, and just working things out and having to think about things. Jacksonville was probably the best place for me.
So when you had these options, you knew you were getting picked up when you were going to America because you could pick.
Yeah, so after my workouts, they'd come forth like, hey, here's a contract. We would like to sign you. And
Is this how quick it goes?
happened so quickly. Because my first workout at the Bengals, I finished the workout there in front of all the coaches, the GMs and everything, and I didn't even make it off the field, and the GM came over and go, hey, love what you do, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, would love to sign you, and we want to sign you today. And at that point, knowing how hard I had worked in that whole year to get back to where I was, to now being over here and just hearing that a team wants to sign me right here, right now, it was, I couldn't understand. I couldn't understand and process my feelings, and I almost cried in front of him about how excited I was. But I had to take a step back and just breathe.
How
and
other
talk.
teams to go and
and decide, all right, well, what's best for me? I can sign here, we go from there, or we can explore the options and see how everything works out.
And each deal, are they all the same money and everything too?
Yeah, for us it would be.
Yeah.
So it's nice.
Right. Okay. So when you knew you were going to get picked up because you've been told that because you're a free agent. So you have these options. The first guys are like, yes, I want to sign you. They wanted to do it straight away.
Yep.
And then, but you're like, okay, no, I want to go to the other teams, suss them out. What made you go with Jacksonville?
So Jacksonville, it's kind of like Australia. I mean, it's hot. There's beaches nearby. Cincinnati was in the city, and the weather-wise as well, so much better and warmer over there. It's 36 to 40 degrees at the moment in Jacksonville, so it's cooking. But the facilities were a lot better as well. But there's a lot of things I took into play, and as we spoke about before, the details I like to listen to and watch, and it's just how well I was looked after and treated from the get-go. Just how well they looked after me and cared for me, and it's carried on through to this day as well. It's just not the one-show pony where they just say that just to get me in. It's carried on through to right now, and it's so much credit to them as a club, and I mean, as an organisation, they've come a long way, and we're going great places, and that was a main thing I looked at as well, was about how well they treated me. They followed up with texts and calls and everything, and it made me feel welcome and made me feel like I belonged there. And also in Florida as well, there's no state tax, so that helped as well.
Yeah, right. Okay. And talk to me about an average week or an average day or however it goes. Let's talk about how it is coming up into the NFL.
Yep. So we've just come off. What did we come off? OTAs. So OTAs, and with that, I'm a rookie at this stage, so my first year. That's what a rookie is. There's a 6 a.m. shuttle, so I'm getting up at 5:30. Get on a 6 a.m. shuttle, and we're on. We got brekkie at the club. Then I go get treatment for about an hour, a bit more than that, pre-activation. Then we lift for an hour and a half. Then we go into a meeting, which is a team meeting. Then we go into a special teams meeting after that, into a positional meeting. So we break off after the full group. We go offense, defense, meet there, break off again into your skill group. So we go as a tight end group. We go into our little room, have a meeting in there for an hour and a bit. Then we go do a bit more treatment and prehab for the field. Go out in the field, we train for about 2 hours. I'll hang around. I usually do some kicks afterwards, some snaps, whatever it is to try to get better. Then we go inside, have lunch. I usually miss lunch because I'm out there doing extra stuff. And then if I have time, I'll eat some lunch. Go into another meeting, which would be for an hour, position moon. We review what we went out in the field. Then the vets and everyone else leave. So that's 1 o'clock. This is only just 1 o'clock, but everyone else leaves. The rookies, we stay back. We have a look.
Vets?
Yeah, so that's our training days really. But us rookies, they stay there because we're developing. We got a lot to learn. So we hang around for a few more hours.
So the rookies stay on the field, obviously.
No, we just stay in the classroom. So everyone's gone home, and then they leave. We go back into the classroom for another hour. Then we got a special teams meeting again, and then we have a rookie orientation meeting just to learn just little skills and learn more about what there is to offer in the NFL and just develop as a person. And then after that, we're good to go. But I hang around, do some treatment with some boys, and usually I get home around 6. So it's 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then when I get home, there's an hour break. I usually I speak to my mum, my friends, and everyone, let them know how everything's going. Eat dinner at that point just to switch off, and then I switch back on, and I got to study because we get an install which is about 15 to 30 pages long. and that's got all the plays that we're going to run the next day. So you got to learn everything that night. So I'll study about 7 till 10, and then go to sleep 10:30, do it again next day, and then we run that install the next day. Sweet, here's a new install. Learn a new install again, and it's just a repeated process. Mentally challenging.
So it's non-stop.
It's non-stop. It's just go, go, go.
Fuck. So you've got to learn this install. There's you get like a booklet, 15 to 30 pages of the plays for tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And then you throw that booklet out and get a new booklet.
Yeah, well, the booklet, basically we have all what we've learnt, and that breaks it down to what we're going to be learning that day. So today we're going to focus on screens. So the install will be on screens. And then we're going to focus on deep passes and red zone. That will be in there as well. So the size of the playbook or the install will vary depending on what day it is. And I have the biggest smile when it comes to a day where you see there's not many pages and yes, I can get some sleep tonight.
Wow.
It is, yeah, no, it is.
You said there was another thing you mentioned yesterday, how you'll sometimes get one and then you'll get another one, and then on the third day it'll be a combination of the two.
Yeah.
So you've learned both of them, and then you go into...
Yeah, so everything you learn, you got to keep diving back into to learn as well. So just because you finish install 1 doesn't mean you just wipe it. No, I'm done. Because stuff from install 1 could show up on install 3, 5, 9, 11. And then on Wednesdays, we run some things where we just fix up plays and everything. So when you go out there, you can't really switch off on a Tuesday night because you got to look back on all the stuff you've learned. So if you go into week 3, you've learned 8 installs. You got to go back through all 8 installs and keep refreshing your memory, because we go out in the field and then go, all right, we're running this play from install 2, go. And you can't make a mistake, because if you make a mistake, not only are you losing a rep, but you're losing trust in all your players and coaches. And being a rookie and being someone who's never played the sport before, that's so important about building that trust and that relationship with all the players.
Do you have a level of respect for the NFL players in a way more standard than you did before joining the NFL?
I've always known how hard they work, but being in their shoes and living through their shoes and seeing how hard they work and what they do outside of the club as well is so remarkable. And yes, so much credit to these lads. And for those that have played more than 5 years, is honestly astounding. It is remarkable.
When you say that, why? Like when they've played more than, is it because of how hard it is, or is it how cutthroat it is? What's the thing?
It's a mixture of everything. How cutthroat it is, how mentally challenging it is, how physically demanding it is, and you got to rock up every day and perform knowing that you're not guaranteed a spot here. The locker next to me is changed 3 times in 3 months because it's just, we're trying to get better. So we're trying to get someone who will add value to the team, and every day you're fighting for a job, and it's so tough as well, knowing that you form these great relationships with players and they're out here providing for the newborn, or they've got a family of 3, or they've come from the hood and they had nothing and this is all they've got, and you're going to take that job, you're going to strip it away from them. It's so cutthroat. It's a dog-eat-dog world, and you got to understand that these are your mates, but they're also going to do whatever it takes to take your job. And it's tough to understand that, but it's just the business and industry we're in.
What's some of the hardest cutthroat things that you've seen since you've been in?
I've had as I was saying before about the locker next to me, it's so tough. We had a guy do his hammy in minicamp day 2, and he got cut that same day. And it's
Day 2,
yeah.
so he's been in the club for 2 days.
Rocked up, did camp. He was running around, did his hammy, and he got cut. The new name was on the locker. Same with the guy who was next to me. He great bloke. I honestly feel for him. He's such a nice bloke. He had so much potential, and he did his ACL in training one day, and it was so tough for him. And he was a free agent rookie, so he wasn't drafted. He's out here hustling for a job because nothing's guaranteed. And unfortunately, this happens, and we go back to the locker room, come in the next day, the new name there, new person I got to introduce myself to, and it is tough because people come in, and there's a story about a guy who came in, he signed, and people get signed one day and cut that same day as well. It's such an eye opener, and I don't think people understand how tough that is to see as well as a player, because you're constantly living shit. Your job's on the line every minute of this day, for every day of the year, and how mentally challenging it is as well, knowing that someone's out here going to take your job, and once you cut, you're on your own. What do you do? You got you got no job. You just come from the highest level, and now earning all these big bucks, and now
Do
you're not there.
when you get dropped, is that like other teams? Is it easy to get picked up, or is it hard to get picked
So
up?
you're when you get dropped, you're a free agent. So any team is up for grabs to take you. So we have guys come from teams, they get cut, and then the Jags the next day. It's opportunities, which is awesome because when you go on the field, you're not only here to perform for the Jags, but if you get cut, everything you've done on the field is being shown to every other club. Every other club's watching you as well. So crazy.
The thing that's crazy about it is just the uncertainty, and and they kind of just rule you in a sense. Like they control you in a sense where you go, okay, I get dropped. All right, we'll fly here. This team wants you. This, and it's just uncertain, high anxiety, stress because you're looking at the people next to you getting dropped, and you can go, well, that's me. That could be me. Like, is there a level of stress that comes with seeing the other people get dropped too?
100%. And I think that's something that I'd never really understood. I knew it was going to be mentally challenging coming from the AFL, knowing the stresses and all that stuff that comes with it. But what I didn't realise as well is that when we finished training in AFL, you go home, you go to the beach, go shopping, go jump on the game, whatever you wanted to do. But with AFL, you finish it. You got to go back. You got to study this install. You got to keep learning, and because if you get out in the field and you make a mistake, you lose that rep, and everyone else around you like misses a rep because of that. So you start again, and the next day you come into training, sweet, you had 10 reps today, but you made a mistake, you get 1 rep today.
What's rep mean?
Like how many times you go on the field and get a go. Because obviously with AFL, everyone's on there getting handballs and kicks and everything. So a rep means we go out there and you run your routes or you do your blocks. So for example, I went out there one day and I was ready to run my route. I false started, got the call. So I looked across at the sideline, got told to come off. New person went on, took my rep. He took my go, and then the next day came in and I got 1 rep. The whole period. And it's so cutthroat too, because then you're looking at it going, shit, I just missed out on so many opportunities to get better, so many opportunities to prove myself and prove my worth that I belong here. And it's as simple as if you make a mistake like that, you're losing that opportunity and you're losing that trust, and they go, well, he's not getting these reps in, he's out. It's so crazy.
It doesn't make sense though, because the only way to get, if you make a mistake, surely they want you doing more reps.
I get what you mean, but we don't have time.
They want the best.
We don't have time to make mistakes and do all this stuff. They expect you to know this stuff. That's why you have time to learn it at home overnight. The NFL is amazing. They give you everything you need to get better, whether that's mentally, physically. The coaches you have access to the coaches 24/7, and they'll pick up the phone and tell you and help you out. The players are like that as well. So when you come in and you don't know what to do, that's a reflection of what you're doing in your own hours outside of the club, and it shows in the field too. You don't want to make don't want to make a mistake.
Is there a level of pressure that comes with that?
100%. It's like the pressure that comes in. Pressure it changes because you can put a certain amount of pressure on yourself, and we have like exercises we do. There's the psychiatrist comes in and gives us exercises and tells us what to do and some strategies that may help us when we get out there. And what I've learned is that breathing is such an important thing for me when I get out there, because it's such an eye-opener. I've gone from being out here, being jobless, to now in a huddle and all these professional athletes I seen on TV. I had on my fantasy team last year. It's so crazy, and I'm standing here with them, and the heart starts racing, your mind starts racing, and you start not thinking straight, and you're overthinking, and you don't have time to overthink. You don't have time to double think. You got to just know your stuff, get out there and do it. And breathing helps me so much, because we get into huddle, we get about 5 seconds before the quarterback comes in, 2-3 big deep breaths, slows everything down, hear the play, go out there and do what you need to do. And that's helped so much with the pressure aspect of it. But even at home when I'm studying as well, there's so much pressure. I need to get this right. I wake up in the morning and I'm still thinking, do I know what I'm doing? Is this right? Is this correct? I'm on the bus on the way to training, going through my notes again, looking through it before I go out and train, half an hour before I go out and train, I'm looking through, just double checking I know what I need to do. There's just so much, pressure and stress on it to perform.
You mentioned in the sauna the other day how sometimes you just get to the night and just have these massive breakdowns. What, when you're studying or after studying, and what does that look like, and what are your feelings?
It's just people look at the NFL and you go, I want to be in the NFL. This is amazing. But until you, as we said earlier, walk in their shoes and understand what it takes and how physically and mentally demanding it is, you'll have a new source of respect for these guys. And it's just so demanding. When you're on, and it's so demanding for that whole period when you're on, physically, mentally, and you go home and when you make mistakes, you've had a shit day, you're missing reps, everything's racing through your mind. You get home and you want to learn and study for the next day, but it's just so tough as well. I'd come home some days and I just don't want to open the iPad. I don't want to study and learn because of what I've had today, and it's so important that you have to push it aside. But my mate, one of my mates who's in another team as well, we call each other and sometimes we don't even say anything. We just sit there in silence and just breathe, because we both just had one of these days where it's so tough, and it's so important to talk about these things because it's just going to build up. But yeah, days you go in, you throw your bag against the wall, you're crying yourself to sleep at night sometimes, and it's so mentally challenging out there, and it's something I didn't I knew it was going to be mentally challenging, but not to that level and that extreme. But you have to push it aside and utilize these tools that they're giving you, because if you don't study that night, you're going to muck up tomorrow. If you muck up tomorrow, then that's just going to add on top of how you're feeling already. And you just can't let these things hinder your performances, especially if you make a mistake on a rep or you do something wrong. You got to switch out of it. It's next rep, you're moving. You can't, there's no time to be down or questioning something. You made a mistake, cool, we'll address it later. Get back out there, do your next rep. And so it's, that mental aspect is full on.
And what do you think about that keeps you going? Like, you have to get really clear on obviously what your why is and why you're doing it, because when you're in that moment, you're crying yourself to sleep.
Yeah.
What are you telling yourself to keep you going?
It's everyone has different whys, and I mean, we spoke about a bit of my journey and everything, and that's my why. And sitting here being so grateful that I'm out here living my childhood dream, I'm playing sport and getting paid for it, and I'm providing for my family. This is amazing. This is awesome. Go out there and create a legacy. Go set your family up. Go set your kids up, and your kids' kids up. This is a chance to turn and change everything for you, who you are. You can put your name on the map. You can put your country on the map, and it's honestly that excites me, knowing that my surname Murtagh, we can make something out of this. We can really set all of us up for generations out here. We can do great things out here, and that's why every day you got to rock up, smile, be grateful for where you are, because you never know when it could be your last.
When you get these little levels of success, do you feel so much more rewarding of them because of all the shit?
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, no, definitely. So much more rewarding knowing that all this hard work's paid off. But in my eyes, this is what I was pausing before, I was trying to think, because in my eyes, I'm not there yet. I'm nowhere near there yet.
It's getting started.
It's just getting started. Yeah, cool, you're in the NFL. This is all praise, glory. It's not where I want to be. I'm not starting yet. I haven't scored a touchdown yet. Not on this big contract yet. Mum still doesn't have a house yet. There's so many things that aren't there yet, and I haven't ticked off. So for me to sit there and say I've made it, I'd be lying to myself. And that's back to what we're saying about having an honest conversation. I can't be complacent with who I am. I'm chasing perfection, and I know no one can be perfect, but at least I'm chasing something, and that's always going to get me better each day. And being 1% better than the day before is going to be what makes who I am and build myself up into a successful career later on.
Yeah, and definitely not saying you've made it yet. But what I do find is when you do get these little licks of the ice cream and you get these little levels of success, if you just got handed it straight away and you didn't go through any shit and you didn't get slammed on your face, would it really be rewarding? Like, would it really be
No.
Would you get this awesome feeling? But because when you see that video of your mum and your sister going crazy for you, if you didn't have any shit, you didn't have to go through hard times with the loss of your dad, and everything was just smooth sailing, and you got that, do you think her reaction, your mum's reaction, would be the way it is? No, I think it's because of how much shit and how hard it's been for the family going through all of this, all the ups and downs of life, that when you get these ups, you're comparing it to how much shit you've been through. And that's what makes it so special.
And her reaction, it was a reflection of what we've been through as a family, knowing that it's a big weight off the shoulders, and it is so bittersweet to know that all of this hard work, and as you said, the licks of the ice cream, I like that, because you gotta, I haven't made it, for me, I haven't made it yet, but you still gotta look back and be like, I've come so far, recognize these little things, don't let them slip, like, shit, I've been through a lot of shit, and I'm here, recognize that, pat yourself in the back, you're doing good, you are okay, you are good enough. But just know you've still got a lot of work to do to be where you want to be. Well,
you've had a lick of the ice cream and it's bloody delicious.
It's great. I want
a tub of it. You want the whole tub.
I wanted the tub of it. I want to own the store.
Yeah, exactly right. And so that's the thing. You need these little licks, and sometimes you get a little bite, and it's fucking great.
Oh, it's addicting.
But then you just want more.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what also gets really hard is there are periods of time where you're not even getting a single lick of the ice cream, and that's when your why needs to kick in, and you can't be going off, oh, this feels really good, because you're not getting any good feelings.
Yeah.
You're actually getting rather the opposite. And it's in those moments where you go, why am I actually doing this? And you need to use that why as the fuel to slingshot you forward. Then you can get a little lick of the ice cream.
Those little moments when you're not getting any licks is what's going to get you that tub.
Well, they're character building.
That's what makes you who you are.
I think the whole journey is just character building. I always look back at this. I've been talking about this so much recently. It's not about the journey. It's not about the destination. It's the character that you build on that way, and how rewarding it feels when you build this character and go through shit at the same time, because that's how you build the character.
100%. I'm all for that character building.
Yeah. Love it, love it, love it. And man, just before we wrap up the show, like, is there anything that you're thinking about recently, or is there anything else that you wanted to share, something exciting, or I don't know, is there anything else you wanted to talk about today?
I guess, like, life, you look at someone and you go, wow, they're so successful and everything, and I want to live their life and I want to be in their shoes. You just got to know that whatever you're striving for, if you work hard enough for it, it will happen. You just got to trust what you're doing, stick to your beliefs, stick to what you're working and striving for, because it will happen. Sometimes it happens for people when they're really young. Sometimes it happens to people later on in their life. You just don't give up on what you're doing. Please don't give up.
And then the caveat to that as well, the thing to add on top is make sure you know why you're doing it.
100%.
Because, like, don't give up, but also recognize that it's not all sunshine and rainbows, and you're comparing your life to someone's highlight reel online, and recognize that with every good, there's a bad, and there's a cost to everything in life. And stop trying to don't be blind to the fact that there is a cost to success. There's a cost to all the things that you want. Everything that you want, there's a cost.
100%. And you will make mistakes. Just because you make a mistake, don't give up on it. You're going to learn from these mistakes. And shit, I've made so many mistakes in my time as well. And like, I'll admit to myself, I hadn't learned from these mistakes. I made these mistakes over and over and again. I'm like, why am I making the mistakes? I swear I'm learning from them. I tell myself I'm not going to do it again, but I did it again and I do it again. You will muck up. You will make mistakes. But as long as, doesn't matter how many times you make a mistake, just learn from it. Learn from it, build from it. And that joy, the happiness, everything, it will come to you. Just keep doing you.
Yeah.
I can't stress it enough. It makes me smile knowing that I know that everyone around me, they're working so hard, and I know they're going to be so successful in what they're going to do. Even my sister, she's hustling at the moment, and I'm so excited thinking about it, knowing how successful she's going to be as well. So I love seeing people around me thrive and be successful.
As the tide rises, all of the boats do too. We need that rising tide. And you just mentioned there, I'm very passionate about and interested on this topic, and you brought it up just before on happiness. You said like the happiness will come. Like, what are your thoughts on happiness? And is the goal to be happy? Like, what are your thoughts on this concept of happiness? Is there any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm a happy person. I walk around with a smile on my face. I like to greet people and whatnot. I like to make someone else's day. It's just who I am, and that's where I get my happiness from as well. But also I get it from just taking that step back and just realizing where I've come from and everything like that, and just being happy to be here right now. You know, it's life is in general is so tough and so demanding. Everyone has their own challenges, and you spoke about it as well. You don't know what someone else has been through, and I'm so grateful and happy that I am here today and doing what I'm doing. And yeah, I can't really describe or answer that question really, because it's just who I am. The little things to me, if I smile, it looks like I'm happy, and it brings someone else around with me, and then I see, all right, then you'll smile back, and then sweet, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm a simple person.
I love it. I love it. I'm just really fascinated with happiness because I think it is, you can't always be happy. And I think the expectation to be happy is a false reality. It's a lie. Because as we said before, like, there's a positive and negative with everything. For you to feel happy, you need to feel sad.
Yep.
Because without sad, there's no happy. It's just normal. And so if you can remove this expectation that I always need to be happy, there's a level of peace in that. Because as you said, like, all the things that you're striving to do, all of the hard shit, when you get home from a long day at work, call it, and you've got to study for hours again, and it's the last thing you want to do. You're not happy in that moment. But what's happening is you're striving towards a goal, and that progression is fulfilling. And that is a piece that makes life interesting and awesome. And you're not going to be happy in that moment. But then when you get little moments of highs, you're comparing it to that shit time. And that's what makes it happy. And I think too many people have this expectation that happiness should be a normal thing. And it should be everyday life. And it's not the reality. And you need a reality check and go, that's not going to happen. That's a lie. And I think it's very freeing understanding that, because now you're not expecting to be happy. It's a bonus, and then it feels amazing when you are happy. You
absolutely nailed that. I got nothing to say on top of that, because you hit the nail on the head with that, and I think that's going to be very impactful for someone listening.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, man. I really appreciate it. You're fucking inspiring, and I just want to commend you because, like, I haven't experienced that. I love my family, love my parents. They're amazing, and I couldn't fathom, losing someone and it's something that I can't conceptualize and I don't even want to think about.
Yeah.
And so I commend you for all the stuff that you're doing, even after those hard times, and using that as fuel and just striving for greatness to not only set up you and your kids and your family's life, but also your mum and your sister and set everyone up and be that father figure and man of the house. So I just want to throw my respect over to you, and appreciate you sharing your story today.
No, I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much, man. And if you guys have stuck around to the end, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this one. I certainly did. Leave us a review, and a good one, by the way, on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you are listening to this, because it helps the show grow, helps us get amazing guests, just like Paddy on the show. We are number 2 in Australia for education podcasts right now, and climbing. And I'm so grateful for everyone growing with us. So thank you so much. We are signing out for this week, and I'll see you guys next week.
Hell yeah.
See you later.
Bye-bye.